Welcome back to Two Doors Pick One. You're here with the host, Ronnie B, Blue, Quest, and Rock. Let's dive on into it. So we had a few different conversations that we wanted to dive into. Let's first start with this father who kills the cop in retaliation of murdering his son. Let's get right into it. How we feel about this? Actually, let's make this a very simple podcast today. So I feel like sometimes this gonna go left, right? We have 4 people here today, so we're actually gonna go back to our original focus of the podcast and do Two Doors Pick One. So I'm gonna give you guys 2 options of how you feel about this, okay. Right? So we have this guy who retaliated, cop kills his son. He feels that fatherly instinct. He kills the cop, right? So was he right for killing the cop? Or was he wrong for killing the cop? Is that the 2 doors we want? Everybody in agreement? Or do we pick
cool.
different
We can
doors?
go with that.
All right, cool. All right, 2 doors, pick one. Rock, kick us off.
Well, I guess I'm going to say he's right for it because that's his blood. Legally, he's not right for it because of the law and everything, but at the same time, it's what occurred. Unfortunately, you deal, and that comes into a very complicated, sticky situation against black against blue with the history that we've been growing up with and what we've seen with a lot of stuff. And it's become a very complicated question too as well. I guess that's my take. I don't know. Get deeper there.
Okay. How about you, Blue?
He's validated. Parents are gonna crash out for their kids sometimes, and heat of the moment, that the anger. We've seen it happen so many times. Me and Quest were talking about this the other day, and I felt it could be more impactful considering if the kid, I don't want to speak bad about the kid. I don't know him, but for what I understand, they were asleep in a stolen or in a vehicle that had been reported stolen, and they got out and ran or whatever. And that's how he ended up getting shot in the back or whatever. No, it's not justified. That was wrong. He didn't have any weapons on him. Yeah, they out of pocket. But any parent that cares about their kid, obviously they gonna do what they feels best. So
adding on to that, especially when you sit there and not answer the question, not if he got out of a stolen vehicle and you start shooting, that leaves a lot of questions, a lot of verses too as well.
I don't know. See, I don't know. I'm kind of like, if your kid is doing things that puts them in a situation that introduces them to cops, looking at them a certain type of way or wanting to, do harm to them because they, I don't know, associating them with being like criminal or whatever. Like, I don't know if the kid was a criminal, but,
still a kid.
If you're not doing anything wrong, why are we running? I asked that question, but at the same time, people are scared, so that's why we running, so both sides of the fence, I understand it.
Yeah. I agree.
Great.
All right, what about you, Quest?
I mean, I used to give consideration to both sides of the fence, but not anymore. Like, I don't think as black people, I don't think we have the ability to not look suspicious or not look like, I don't know where that line is anymore.
Yeah,
right?
Because there's no line.
Yeah. Like I told you, by the time I was 14, I witnessed 4 of my childhood friends murdered by the cops right in front of me. Right? The bullet could have hit me. They shooting through us at somebody else who's running from them. So it's like, yeah, I mean, dude was totally justified in what he did, because to me, I find it insulting whenever this happens, how people want to try to dig deep and try to say, well, nah, from this angle, the cop was justified, or
right.
I'm like, miss me with all of that. It was murder. Yeah. Right. And when they get on TV and talk about, well, it's a training issue or whatever the case may be, it's like, all this is insulting. The only way it's going to change if actions like the father took happens on a consistent basis, but I would say with more brutality and more consistent, because they have to have in their mindset whenever they deal with us, if it's not done the right way with respect, then their family may pay the price, or them as well. So,
Right.
eye for an eye.
One thing I will say, add on to that, that reminded me of a quick summary. It reminded me of a time where I was in 7-Eleven. There was a dude asking money and selling streetwise. And there was two different stories happening in front of there. There was one time where I guess a white kid got scared that he was asking for money. They called the police. It was like 5 or 6 cops. And they came up to this street dude and say, stop asking for money at that, because, and then the same time around was another story where a kid said, I'm gonna kill you to the 7-Eleven host. They turn off their lights. So it becomes a choice and a decision how they feel, how the cops feel they approach certain situations. And going to you is just like ask questions later, actions now.
Right.
And that becomes scary,
Right.
The retraining thing too is a problem. Like they know what they're doing when they're doing it.
Right.
What do you mean? You're gonna go back and say, hey, look, you can't do this. This is how you engage people. Like, come on, man. Like, they know what's going on from the jump.
It's a cop-out.
It's a cop-out, but I will say this. You look at different countries, they solve different things different ways. We the only ones that can, like, we advertise fear on everything.
That's facts.
Like, I'm not saying that it's a perfect way, but fear is among us. In conversation, keep people online. If you don't vote for these people, fear this. You don't vote for these people, fear that.
Right.
And it becomes we also are flooded with nonsense more than sense, because we as being the leaders of the world, you don't care about the population what they feed in, because the more confused they are, that's what Romans did. They had the plague, invasions, gladiatory games.
Yeah, so when you speak of fear, I think everybody saw the clip that went viral when he was in court. I guess they were discussing if he was going to get bond or not, and like the 30 or however many cops was like right behind him.
Like 35.
Intimidation.
I'm like,
factor.
yeah, so what part of this is like justice, right? How does this make the court look? And there was no accountability on the fact that, look, we're going to sit here and gaslight this guy and act as if we don't know his son was just murdered.
That part.
Right? And when you look at the media, nobody is talking about that.
No.
Right? They basically just saying, hey, this
Cop
guy
murder.
just killed a cop or whatever. You got all these cops behind him, mean mugging him. And it's just like, really, this is what we're doing? So it's clear indication, just like January 6th, right, when those people stormed the Capitol, everybody for that moment thought the same thing. If they were black, they would have never made it it would have been a bloodbath. So again, it's just another example. And I don't know why we still act as if the justice system is credible in any sense, right? It's
Once again, who's it on to make the change, though?
It's on us.
Right, exactly. Because, we can talk about it, obviously, shine light and say whatever, but getting behind a keyboard and just, making a post and complaining, like, the physical action is going to be the only difference, if people get behind this, man. Because if any one of those cops, lost their kid to another cop under the same terms and conditions, it's like, they'll feel some type of way, too.
Yeah, well, think about it. They shoot and kill us for less. We talked about it.
Yeah,
You sleep at Wendy's.
Jail was obviously of no consequence to do in order to avenge his son. Like he willing to lay his life down or give up whatever
any animal
Right.
would, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
So if we're talking about like which way that I would choose that, I would definitely say that he's in every right to protect his young, right?
Yeah.
If we give excuses to everything and everyone except for when it becomes a black versus blue issue, right? So if you look at any other case in history when somebody is defending their children, it's like, well, that was their child. So
Right.
everybody understands it, right? But when it comes to a black and blue issue, it's always going to go blue.
Yeah, how old was the kid?
I believe 15.
15.
Yeah.
I thought he was a little
Yeah,
bit older.
and that, I hate to say it.
And he's fair to go out there and make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? At 15,
Right.
we don't know. Like, I don't know his background, what the upbringing was looking like, and we already know.
I mean, how do you perceive a 15-year-old kid running away from you as a threat?
I mean,
Exactly.
but it's
With
an opportunity.
no gun.
It's an opportunity, and that's what I'm starting to realize. Like,
yeah.
if you look at a lot of stuff through history, it's an opportunity.
And the cop
And,
wasn't. I'm sorry. I didn't
No,
mean to
you
cut
go ahead,
off.
please.
But
Go
the
ahead.
cop
Mad that the
wasn't.
cop took an opportunity.
Was
That he
he?
took an opportunity.
Okay, so after he did that, he was still working, from what I understand, right? Like they didn't suspend him or anything as of yet, or was
I can't speak on it.
I don't know, but
I don't know that.
because when he got him, he was driving, right, and he kind of saw him. So I don't know if he was in a squad car or whatever when he saw him, but
And it's one of those awakenings that we have, as a family, individual, you have to raise the bar, because you get to a certain level of life or a certain level area, it's always the guns before answers to certain areas. And I see that a lot when I drive through certain neighborhoods. Like, they're eager, it's like, oh, these are points. I can get these points and not get off. Because these are low end kids, but it becomes a different discussion when the bar is raised and the family's actually doing something.
Was this even a national story till the cop got killed?
I'm not sure.
I don't think it was.
I don't think they're gonna make
The
it.
kid
a
got
national
killed.
story.
It wasn't an issue.
Yeah.
Cop got killed. Now it becomes an
Right.
issue. So I think that just sums
yeah.
it up about.
Yeah, and,
Right,
and not
right.
to like really switch topics, but it reminded me of the fact that the kid's name Carmelo Anthony or whatever,
Carmelo Anthony,
they
yeah.
got into it with the two white kids, and how they initially tried to say that it was on school grounds and he had a knife, but now, and I think some of the other kids who were there spoke out and was like, when the cops showed up, they confiscated all the phones from the kids on the site because they didn't want them to show anything, because
of
the
course.
truth that happened, it wasn't on school grounds, it was somewhere else, and it started raining. He was under a tent, and the two white kids were known bullies or whatever. And the kid didn't have a knife. He had something else that he obviously used as a knife, but he got the kids up off of him. And both of the brothers was trying to jump him. So he basically just defended himself.
Oh yeah, I heard about
Yeah,
that.
they painted a whole nother
Yeah, but you
narrative.
got people, once
But-
again, taking what the media say and
Or
just
no,
running with it.
creating the
Yeah.
media what they want to write with.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna say this. I'm very. It's a very confusing depending on who got the information, where you get your source from.
Right.
And both sides are, definitely painting the story that this kid. Because right now I heard too, going to that the black family had to move. They had to get some money to move. The father forgave and wanted to go pray with them in church, but a civil rights activist that got actually a record said no.
Wow.
And he had a record. I don't know what he had, misdemeanor or something like that. Well, I think he somehow with his girlfriend's kid.
So the father of the white kid.
Yes, he was going to go
okay.
pray with them,
Okay.
and then the family had police escort him out because he forgave him, and he heard people on the opposite end saying no, it happened, things happen.
Right.
But you dealing with, again, so nobody wants. So the problem is, going with you, Blue. Nobody wants to fix the issue.
Right.
And I hate to say that, and that's the scariest point, because it's so much money in creating
true.
some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
And here's the thing. How can we really fix the issue, though, at this point?
It ain't no fixing, in my opinion. It's over with.
Like,
It's
it's no
I agree.
Reset.
So look, right, when you talk about fixing an issue,
Burn it all down.
right, that starts with, okay, you have to pay us back. They can't pay us back.
They're not going to.
They ain't going
They
to.
can't.
It's too much money.
It ain't it ain't too much money. They spend trillions to do like we just saw $5 trillion over the last few years unaccounted for. Come on.
Right.
They got money to do
It's
it.
not
no,
even the money,
they-
right? When you look at everything that they've taken,
Yeah.
our families, our heritage,
priceless.
language, you can't pay that back.
Right. You're not going to pay that back. And that's why I'm saying that's why they want to do it, because then they'll know to get more. See,
Yeah.
there's people who are going to make it, and there's people who are just going to use it and complain because they never got it. Like, I feel like with us collectively, we all learn to say, okay, this is what we got. We're going to work with it. A lot of people don't want to do that.
Hold on. Okay. We gonna open some more doors up real quick.
Okay, go.
Not more doors.
What if their behavior and the way that they're going about it is just a psychological reflex because of the situation?
Whose
Trying
behavior?
to get on quest.
Whose behavior?
Dead serious though. Like
whose behavior though?
Blue.
huh?
Not
The
blue.
well,
the
when you say
blue.
their
the
behavior.
blue. I'll say the blue.
Okay.
Whites. Because if people feel as though these people are controlling the narrative, or they're treating us, or they owe us something,
Okay.
they engaged in some sort of behavior activity, and now this is the result of it. They didn't know they would behave like this.
Who cares? They don't give us that type of grace.
It ain't about who cares. It's about, because if it's a problem for any one of us or whoever's affected by it, then that's who cares.
Right.
But what I'm saying is that a psychological reflex, them behaving this way?
Okay. What's the origin of the reflex though?
I mean, I'm not the one doing it, so I
No, I
can't
hear you,
say,
right?
But I'm just
It's-
saying.
so-
So when people do things and then it has a negative impact on another person or another group of people,
Right.
well, they're experiencing the psychological.
I hear what you're saying.
Yeah,
So,
you get what I'm saying.
Yeah. So, and I get it's hypothetical because there is no evidence anywhere that we've ever even heard of people who look like us per se bothering. Like, and you've said this many times. There's nobody black or Hispanic in anyone's government in power saying, "Hey, let's go take somebody's shit." Right. So we don't have a violent history, if you will.
We don't have a violent history,
we don't
but
have a
history has shown that people run down on other people for whatever reason.
Conquering reasons.
Wars is fought because it's like, I'm right, you wrong. Okay, well, we're going to fight and see who's right and who's wrong.
Okay.
Whoever wins is apparently right. You
But
know
who,
what I mean?
Who has that history, though? Known history.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Everything that's wrong with the world, who's at the helm of it?
We talk
Right,
about
so-
that a lot.
So I hear you. I mean,
But
okay. And here's the thing. Yeah,
I'm
you
not
can't-
defending them.
Right, I get it.
I'm
I
just
get it.
using that and just to
Right, you
give y'all
can't-
some
you can't
backstory.
rule that out,
Yeah,
right, per se. But
we backstory from one of the earlier episodes. We talked about psychological reflex, so that's kind of like our running little thing we got going on. But anyhow, go
but
ahead.
even then, if that's the case, then you can't be hypocritical when we do what we do.
Right.
Like when all the riots were going on, right? I believe it was after the George Floyd situation, and they were all like, "Oh my God, why are these people rioting?" And I'm like, "Really?
right,
Seriously, right now?
right.
Like you have no clue?
Right.
Why? Okay."
Yeah, but I'll say openly, like, history situations, we've been taught through history. There is no gray at all. There's only black and white. And I feel like, I hate to say it, with black people being where we came from, with X mark, where we came from, slave ship, not knowing who we came from, it becomes a perfect topic for opportunity.
But that's a whole nother topic.
But
'cause
if they raise the bar, that opportunity disappears.
I see what you're saying.
oh yeah,
You know,
That's
and
what you're saying.
just
Yeah.
saying because, like, oh, I can't shoot, bam, he gonna shoot me for $1 million.
And on
That
top
affects.
of that, they control even the possibility aspect of that. It's like they got us in this box. They say, "Hey, here's your possibilities," and we know nothing outside of that spectrum, right? So they got us in this. Yeah, I totally understand that. And every so often, they continue to raise that bar. Like, okay, they can read now, they're educated now, so let's raise it here.
So,
right?
you know,
they doing this, so now let's make
We're
it
gonna
about
summarize this
referrals.
one up.
Go ahead.
Okay.
What you say?
Good with this? We're gonna summarize this
Yeah.
topic so we can
So
move
no,
on to the
to your
next topic.
point, yeah, and you know what? And I'm to the point now where why are we still going back and forth with them about their shit? Right? They can do what they want to do. Like, you can't argue with someone as far as how they want to do whatever they want to do in their own house or whatever.
Yeah, but it's their land. They want to make us feel like we got to fight.
is it their land?
No, it's not their land, but mentally it's their land. So we're playing their games. Because of playing their games, they are going to sit there and
Why are
say-
you playing their games?
Because they wrote the laws. They wrote the rules.
Why you following?
Why we follow? Because if you do, you go to jail.
I understand. I'm just asking you.
I know,
like,
I know.
Why do we continue to still operate under these terms and conditions?
Fear.
Yeah.
Fear. And I'm not trying to justify it. It's fear that makes us move. It's fear makes you pay
Well, they
taxes.
beat
all
us
that
into
stuff.
submission anyway.
It's tough.
So
Yeah, and you got no leaders that's really like after Martin Luther King. There hasn't been really any leaders
Right.
meaningful for the community.
That was
They
really
got
about
all
that
these
life,
leaders
right?
now in place are just faces.
That's another tough topic right there because we don't all agree on the leadership even of that movement and those people involved. But
nevertheless, they were still leaders. So
I think
no, I'm
that
not taking that away.
They
but
got the cameras. They got
They
the
had
place.
they had
this
the
actually brings us into another topic of Two Doors Pick One with the Myron situation. So that's actually a great segue to talk about that when we talk about who's representing us, who's talking for us,
yeah,
who's speaking our language and saying the right things. And I have a really big opinion on that one. But if we want to turn it into Two Doors Pick One, do Black people have a leader
no, not right now. Mm-mm.
or not?